can articulate, move out of the way. Staging area, this is where all your robots are. This is where everything is getting sort of built, essentially, from your materials. And then manufacturing is where all the magic happens. Moving on, these are some of the final images that basically have been built for this ship. So you can see the habitation pod there already. And you can see there's walkways in there, so as a player, you'll be able to come out. You know, I guess if you're in a nice calm situation, you'll be able to come out and see all your cool equipment. If you're in a combat situation, hopefully you'll have more, you know, a good advantage or possibly disadvantage for firefights, depending on if you have people taking over your base. And then this is the bridge. And this is pretty cool. You can see on the sort of far left-hand side, there's a little blue monitor. It actually looks quite small, but that's actually the architect's station. So that's the console, basically, where you're designing your configuration, I guess. So you're choosing 1 pod, 2 pod, 5 pods. Moving on, rather cool engine room. You know, basically this will be a large open space, again asymmetrical from the top. You've got some really interesting turbines that should give us some really cool animation opportunities. And it's very different to anything that we've seen so far in the Star Citizen universe. Habitation, obviously you've got space for a couple of Big Bennies. Everybody wants Big Bennies in their ship. And then split level room, so space for chilling out, just watching TV or just having dinner with your friends. Bunk room, again, very utilitarian, very basic, down to basics. You could, if you look closely, you can see one crew member in one of the pods, just lying down. And this is just a quick slide put together just to give you an indication of comparative sizes. Again, you've got a little Mustang in there, which will fit on the landing pad. And finishing up, this is sort of final rendering of just showing the ship in its full glory. And it's still, you know, even though it is utilitarian and sort of quite big and massive, you know, monolithic, again, with this sort of graphical branding, it's kind of still giving it, we've broken up the shapes, we've given it a really sort of futuristic feel, and I'm pretty happy with it, yeah.
You want it? Click.
Yeah. So I'm now going to hand over to Tony.
Okay. So before you can actually begin construction of your new outpost, you'll need to first select and purchase a plot of land. The value of that land, what you're going to have to pay in order to acquire it, depends upon a variety of objective criteria, as well as the seller's insight into that information, which we collectively refer to as knowledge. One of the things that we track for each section of land that you can potentially purchase is the resources present and the quantity. Another one is the current market value, which will obviously impact the value of land. If the land has an abundance of a particular mineral that at that particular point in time is, exceptionally valuable, then that's going to increase, the current value of that land. But it's a very dynamic process. The level of certainty, that's interesting in that knowledge, information within Star Citizen is very often an analog concept. You don't necessarily know something or not know something, but rather you know things to varying degrees. And the easiest way that I could give for an example would be to consider a car that you're thinking about purchasing. If you've if you're being asked to purchase a car and you haven't actually seen it, you're going to be very conservative in terms of your estimate of what it might be worth. If you're able to see it even from the exterior and verify there's tread on the wheels, the paint job looks okay, et cetera, then that's going to increase your perception of its value. If you're able to actually, turn the car on, make sure it's running, or better yet, have a mechanic, take a peek under the hood, then that's going to basically bring it, even farther up the scale. And so a lot of what we're doing, with the value of land, which ties over into the Pioneer, because you're going to be setting up these outposts ideally in optimal locations to exploit a lot of this value that's sitting on the surface of these planets. The next one up would be when the info was last verified. Knowing that there is, a vast abundance of gold at a particular area, but the information is stale. It's 2 weeks old, it's a month old, it's 6 weeks old. As it gets more out of date, it becomes less and less valuable. And so what this means is that players will routinely have to refresh, the knowledge of a particular area in order to maintain the perceived land value within the game. The last thing that I'd mention in regards to what constitutes knowledge is the value of location. If you've got a field of copper ore and it's in close proximity to a refinery, potentially at an outpost set up by one of these pioneers, then that ore field, the land that what you'd have to pay to actually purchase that land is going to rise in price. If on the other hand there's no refinery on that planet, and you have to basically spend 20 minutes basically carting the ore to another refinery and then getting it to its eventual destination, that's going to lower the lower the perceived value of that plot of land. So knowledge within the game is a really fundamental concept, and knowledge is a concept that once you've acquired it about a certain area or a certain object, you're able to transfer that to other friends, you're able to transfer that to organizations, you're able to sell that information to public information brokers, or freely submit it into the public domain.
So yeah, Tony talks about knowledge, what it all means, but to get that knowledge, you've got to go and find that area to figure out what's there. Is it right for you? And that's where all the exploration ships come in. You could take your Pioneer and do all this with your Pioneer, but it's probably not going to be the best ship for scouting locations. We've got a whole wealth of exploration ships that are designed for finding that information out. It's like you wouldn't take your oil rig out into the ocean and just randomly dot it down until you found what you wanted. They send the scouts out to find the best locations. So the ships you mentioned there's just a small range of the exploration ships, like the 315P, Terrapin, Carrack. All exploration, all have slightly different pros and strengths. So you've got the single ones, you've got the big crews, and they're just there to help find where you want to send your Pioneer to. You might find a nice location, but if you went there in your Pioneer, you're never going to find out where the nearest refinery, like Tony talked about. You could build it and you find it's millions of miles away, and that's going to be a waste. So these exploration ships are really sort of key to finding those places.
Yeah, and one of the things we're aiming to do is make sure that there's a lot of gameplay associated with these high-level concepts. And by that I mean, if you discover, if you're working your long-range scanners, you may find a previously unknown body, an asteroid that no one else within the system knows about, and there is a level of value related to that. If you work your dials a little bit and you've got the proper equipment and skills, then without actually having to make the journey, you could increase the potential value of that knowledge find by being able to discern, the mass of the object. A large asteroid is going to be, all things being equal, be worth more than a smaller asteroid. But if you really want to ratchet it up, and this kind of goes back to the degrees of knowledge that I was talking about, if you actually make the journey to it, fly over, burn fuel, burn time, brave whatever dangers are between you and there, and you actually do a flyover the surface, then you may actually just visually see, pools of hydrocarbons, gas venting from the surface. And again, that raises up what you know about it all the more. If you really want to get specific about what's there and maximize the potential value of that find, though, then you're going to have to set down on the surface, and you're actually going to take core samples, and you're going to basically have these processed, analyzed, and you're going to do things like seismographic surveys and have, et cetera, et cetera. And so all of this plays into a common theme that we're trying to execute upon, which is all of these high-level ideas and stuff have a variety of different ways by which the player community can basically attack them, and by which these things will feed, the outputs of one into the inputs of another.
So now that Tony's kind of giving you a high-level idea of what land is and how we value it, I'm going to talk about actually claiming your land. So first and foremost, claims are not tied to the pioneer. A single person, organization can buy them, so on and so forth. Then we have the concept of UEE space, non-UEE space. If you settle in UEE space, you need to have a claim. If you're brave enough and you don't want to do it, you can venture out to non-UEE space, and then there you can find some of your shadier things that you want to do in the game. So if you do plant it in the UEE space, then the idea is that you get the protection from the UEE, in case somebody comes and attacks you and stuff like that. It will be transferable between players. Like any good government, the UEE will actually take a cut of that in a title transfer cost. We're doing general licenses. Later on, the UEE will portion out licenses. So when it comes to actually claiming the beacon or claiming your land, you'll have a beacon interaction. So you set down your beacon. This is where I want to go, and either yourself, one of your teammates, or a data runner will take this information to the closest UEE colony office. And basically, that's when it locks in, and now that land is yours.
Yeah, so one of my favorite aspects about just the overall concept of land is actually speculation. And the basic idea is that assume that you've purchased land and you've gone out and you either bought it with foreknowledge that it likely contained these minerals, et cetera, or you discovered that yourself. And so now you're holding on to this land, and the decision you'll face is, well, do I basically extract that value right now? If whatever that land contains is currently in a bear market, it's not worth very much, then you may elect to basically wait to harvest whatever it holds until those particular commodities have price. And it sounds simple, but there's a lot of ripple effects to where we get really interesting knock-on gameplay effects. And by this I mean, when you own land, that doesn't prevent someone else from necessarily going in there and extracting those resources. Now, obviously, if you're doing this within UEE space and you basically sit down and you're extracting resources from someone else's property, then that's a criminal offense, and basically the game's security system will deal with them as appropriate. But, of course, the police aren't patrolling, every square inch of every planet, every asteroid, every moon, every minute of the day. And so you holding on to that property, waiting for, a better payday in the future has real implications in terms of, well, in addition to relying upon the system security, do you want to put your own sensors there so that you're alerted when someone else does something that you don't like on that area of land? So if somebody starts mining, you'll basically be notified, and then you and potentially your org mates can head out there and basically push them off. You may hire mercenaries to basically periodically patrol your land with a higher level of frequency than what the normal, the normal UEE security forces would do. Basically, the equivalent of hiring your own personal security to keep watch, of your valuables. And I'm really just touching the surface here. I mean, another thing is this. It makes the point that you don't necessarily have to do the full end-to-end cycle in order to take advantage of this. You could, for example, buy land or discover land and then just flip the land after you've verified that it's got this, as opposed to you necessarily exploiting, mining, pulling up all of that material, which is a very particular type of gameplay that some people will love, but for other people, the discovery aspect or the security aspect, or on and on. If you have an interest in only one section of these areas, then you can still contribute to the overall equation. If you want to basically handle everything yourself, you can also do that.
Okay. So solely towards the Pioneer. And what I'm going to talk about is preparation. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to need to do collect materials and add-ons from different stores. So you'll get materials from TDDs or refineries, and you'll be able to pick up some of the add-ons like Tony was talking about, remote sensors or extractors, solar panels, moisture extractors, geothermal pumps, landing pads, turrets, that kind of stuff. Now, what is very important to understand is, if any of you have ever done home projects, know what you're building, so that you don't do 5 trips to Hornbach to build something. So if you know what you're building, and then you know the resources that you'll save yourself multiple trips, or it will be one of those things where you'll need to have these resources brought to you. So, what do you want from your outpost? What's your gameplay intent? Do you want to be a moisture farmer and live and respawn there and basically look out over this beautiful beach, or do you want it to be like a revenue generator? So basically, you'll swoop in, you'll watch over it, you'll check in, make sure everything's running smoothly, move on to your next thing. So, with this, we've got investment, not only from a resource and basically game money standpoint, and time to build. Not as fast as Paul's videos. So the other thing is, depending on the size of it, that will increase the build time the higher you go. Now, once it's actually placed, you're going to want to upkeep it. Depending on if you put something in Earth's atmosphere versus the Mars's atmosphere versus Venus, well, those are all different climates. And so the wear and tear and just kind of the usual stuff that we're doing with the ships, and as far as stuff breaking down, so on and so forth, this will be the same. So configuring. Now, the idea would be that you're working the architect station, you're choosing the exterior layout of it, and then from there, you'll move into the interior rooms. So some of the different interior options: habitation, armory, storage, med station, mining, refining, hydroponics. And so with this, depending on what you're doing, each one of them is going to require a different amount of power. And then that starts going into some of the add-ons. So if you're mining, or if you're doing something that's very, very power intensive, growing things, so on and so forth, then you're going to need to run extra power in there. And with the add-ons, just like with our ships, if you think of our ships as the base hull, and then you have your gimbals, you have your mounts, and then you're attaching weapons, you're attaching ordnance, you're attaching utility items. It's the same idea here. It's basically you have your base structure, and then you have these item ports that Chris always talks about that will feed into the ore extractors, and that's how we generate the power. So here are just some of the internal shots. I think you guys have seen some of these already. I like the salad spinner, hydroponics, different mining ideas. Storage. So one of the important things is basically if you're growing plants, or if you're basically dealing with any sort of bare form resources that will feed into our ecological system, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're actually storing these items, and so that you're not just mining once and then basically having to shut down because you don't have any more space. Drug lab. So in case you want to do a little Breaking Bad. Then idea about research, and this would be maybe you're close to the sun or something like that, and you want to research some solar flares or those types of things. Med station. So the main thing for us has always been a sandbox and making sure that you have the freedom to focus on the gameplay that you find interesting. And so what we wanted to talk about was just some of the ecosystems that we feel these things help support and help build. You've got the haulers and traders that would be dealing with things that would come in, and if you're mining or if you're growing plants, well, these are going to take these to manufacturing or processing centers. Tony mentioned the security and the needing to actually protect your things, because I can guarantee you, if you're making money, people are going to want to take it from you. Exploration, John mentioned this about going and finding these plots of land and everything like that. Then there's repair, obviously mining, farming, and the refining stuff. So that is our panel. Brian.
Who are we used to people finishing on time? Probably.
Oh yeah, we actually finished early.
We chopped up.
Do you want to?
That's fine.
Okay.
Are you kidding?
Okay.
Yeah, here I am. Awesome, thank you. We have time for a few questions, not the normal length, just because we need a little bit of prep time before Chris gives his large presentation.
The other thing is that I think some of us will be talking to Jared afterwards, and
Absolutely.
then the other thing is that some of us will also make sure that we're out by any extra questions that we need to answer.
Would that be the Intel Saber Raven?
Yes, it would be.
All right, so where's my mics in the audience for questions?
Good show of hands.
Of materials required looks quite small for such a big ship. Is it possible to land a freelancer or something, or do you have to ask for like 200 ships to bring you one crate after another?
So it fits 40 by 40 meters. So there's quite a large, it looks quite small on it, but 40 by 40 meters is a lot of space. That's what we deem safe. You can, like with all things cargo, you can push it and get a little bit more on there, but 40 by 40 is the designated area. So there's a lot of cargo options in there, and it is right next to the cargo bay. It slides next to it, so you wheel it out, put it in the cargo bay, and back in again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Another question? Over on this side.
Will the outpost be salvageable?
I want them to be.
I want to as well.
Well, to me, it's basically like cleaning up extra stuff. So if somebody wants to burn it, and then you go in and you salvage it, I think that should be doable.
And so sorry, I know there's a lot of hands, but our last one.
Will you be able to spawn at the med stations?
That's the goal, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to ask, just because I prepped this one ahead of time, because I know the answer and I like the answer. So, what ship does the Pioneer fit in?
Doesn't fit in any.
It doesn't fit in any. And what ship fits in the Pioneer?
No ships fit in the Pioneer. It's just a landing pad on top, not a hangar.
Thank you. Hold on, stay seated. So we're going to take a break. It's going to be a little bit, I think, right at 10 o'clock. Our local time here is when Chris is going to hit the stage. gives us, I am sure, gives us a little padding of time to strike the stage and get it prepped. So have fun, hang loose, get a drink, and we'll see you in just a bit. Thanks, guys.
Hold on, Tony.
All right, so one of the things that we're doing for Dogfight is everything's moved to PBR. So the ships are PBR'd. The hangars right now are in the process of being PBR'd, so this is sort of a first PBR pass. Oh, well, we're in a hangar. Let's go do something, though.
Back. Guys, that's it. 5 presentations for 2 and number 1. Of course, the Procedural Planets version 2.0 demo from CitizenCon last year, and the helmet flip from the original Arena Commander reveal. It's still in number 1 in the hearts and minds of our backers up on Spectrum. I have improved my hat game. Remember during the QA earlier, and Twitch was super jealous of my powers to get it. Yes, we are aware there are reports of laggy stream. That's because they're downloading a build in the back. There's literally nothing to do about it right now. We got to get the latest stuff for the upcoming demo. Coming up next, by the way, Chris Roberts in the annual CitizenCon keynote. But joining us right now, design director at a Foundry 42 Frankfurt, Mr. Todd Pappy.
Actually, I have a new title.
You have a new title.
Yeah.
We all have new titles now.
Yeah.
What's your new title?
Star Citizen Live.
That's
game
right.
Director.
Director of Star Citizen Live.
Yeah.
Something like
whatever.
that. Hi, I'm content manager for global video production now.
Thank you.
How you doing? And John Crew, lead technical designer. Do you have a new title?
I don't have a new title.
Same time. So, that was quite a presentation. Now, I want to tell you, I was getting some food after 6 hours, so I didn't see any of it. So
and basically went over land and kind of goes down on it.
Yes. Now I saw Twitch chat during the panel. They were quite impressed that it was behind the outpost ownership and developing land. That's not normally a depth that we go into for ships at the concept stage.
Well, But the thing is that we've been talking about the concept of building and owning something for quite a while, at least from and then lean and new ship, and then also seeing what we're able to do with the procedural planets and everything like that. It just came to, yeah, we got to do that.
Yes, I think we were talking about it earlier. Player housing is a it's not a common thread in MMOs, but it's something that's often asked about. It's something that's often pursued. It's kind of like it's a very lofty goal for a lot of games out there.
Yeah.
What makes now the time to pursue this? I mean, obviously this isn't coming out tomorrow. When I say now, I mean we're starting the process.
Well, if you want to live on an outpost, then you live on an outpost. If you want to go live in a space station or live on Area 18 or Terra or something like that, then that's where you would go and live. You know, and the whole goal for us is freedom. You know, and allowing the player to go and do what they want. So.
Yeah, because Todd talked about at the start of the presentation, there was a shuffle in.
Squeeze into frame.
There was a few bits of tech that we needed to have in place before we even started considering it, and that was the planets. You want to have somewhere to live, and the outposts. And once we had those two, then that sort of unlocks the ability to make outposts on those planets. And what better way?
Sorry, that is basically how we deal with it all the time.
Freedom! All right, now we're going to continue talking about the Pioneer and the shipyard post and game design in general, but Frankfurt Studio, he is in the atrium with a special guest.
From the atrium. I heard we had some technical difficulties last time we were on camera, so if you could please do me a favor in Twitch chat, just put up you can hear me. All right, I'm standing here with Simon. Simon is one of our volunteers that helped us make this CitizenCon actually happen. So we appreciate. Tell us a bit about the volunteer work.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm volunteering since some years now, most of the time while Gamescom. And volunteering mainly consists of wrapping up stuff and helping while the event, caring for the people, helping with queuing, for example, checking tickets, and supporting, basically.
All right. And how did you get the idea to volunteer for Cloud Imperium Games?
I was pretty active in the community since the very beginning, and I was in contact with a colleague there, and we was understanding each other very good, and in the end we did, and I said yes, of course, that would be very cool, and each year, let's say. Really cool experience. It's hardworking, but it's worth it. I'm sure. Yeah,
we couldn't have done it without you guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. So this is going to be our last interview. I'm now going to head over to the UE bar for some much-needed refreshments. Thank you, everyone, for watching. It was a pleasure, and we'll see you next year at CitizenCon 2948. That's a wrap. See you.
All right. So we got to sign this here. So, John, I forgot what my name was for a second. Sorry. Let's see. Here we go.
I read it real quick as Biscuit.
Yeah, I messed up there. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So, over the last 2 weeks, we just published the new ship matrix. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been publishing a series of articles called The Shipyard, detailing every aspect of the ship matrix and some of the underlying reasonings behind some of our decisions and stuff like that. How do you think that went?
I think it went incredibly well. It's consumed my life for the last 3-4 weeks.
Yours and mine both.
Writing
yours
those
and
things.
mine both.
You guys did great.
Give a shout out to Will for doing the cargo one. Such a huge amount of information out there. There's such a huge amount of information internally. And over the years, stuff has changed as the project's changed. So it was with the new ship matrix, it was a perfect time to bring everything back in, not reset it, but put everything back on the level and sort of explain why we choose to do these things. And it's now in a much easier format for as we update the ships, release more of them, we'll be able to just feed that in and crafting
Yes, they do.
X against Y, and the the previous stats were quite out of date. So
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. Now we have 10 discussion threads up on Spectrum. Spectrum called the Shipyard, and in there are 10 discussion threads, one thread for each article. Plenty of questions coming in, so if you have questions, follow-ups, concerns, you can post your questions there. We're going to do our best over the next week or two, to sit there and this is video game development. We are not finished with our work, but we will do the best we can. And next Friday, you and I are going to try to do a happy hour interview from the UK, and maybe take more questions live on Twitch. I wanted to follow up. You were out there in the atrium where we just saw Ulf a few minutes ago, doing a demonstration of ship balance live. What was that like?
I started doing a demonstration of ship balance live, and then it just morphed into a big design Q&A session about balance and how we balance the flight model, how we balance the weapons, why we do it in certain ways, and it was good just to get FaceTime with people because often you're just talking at text, and it's you can never get that across, and there's always methods behind what seems like the madness, and yeah, it's just showing how the system works behind the scenes, how that translates to what you see on the matrix, and how it
feels in the game,
and how it feels to play and fun to play rather than just being a cool stat on a website.
And I understand you were accosted by several members of well, I don't want to name names, but Renegade, Rodrin,
something like that.
And you survived.
Yeah, still here.
All right, well, that's a rite of passage right there.
Yeah.
So Todd, while we have you here, we're waiting for Chris Roberts to take the stage for his keynote address. What are some of the gameplay elements that are coming with Star Citizen Alpha 3.0? Some of the new elements.
Well, the biggest one I think is procedural planets, and then there's the rebalance of the ships, and then this for us is we've got a fair amount of missions that are coming in, starting to build up our economy so that when we're starting to get what we consider very, very basic game loop now, and we've also got cargo and trading. So with the basic game loop, it would be go out, do something, collect money, whether that be killing, guarding, taking something, delivering, picking something up, and then from there, go spend your hard-earned money on either upgrading your ship, upgrading your person, and then that is basically a game loop at its core. And from there, it will just be building and expanding and making things more complicated. So like, if you want to go gaining the radar and all of that stuff working in the future, but for 3.0, it really is the biggest introduction. I think is the planets, the cargo, and so working through those issues and making sure that it's polished as much as we possibly can, and work through some of the technical hurdles that we're going through in Evo Copy right now.
Okay. Going back to the talk of the ecosystem. This isn't just creating a ship. It's not just creating a new game mechanic.
Yeah.
I mean, the Pioneer is the entrance point for a whole new way of players to economy. What's that like?
Well, I mean,
give me all the answers now. Commit to things now that you can't change later.
For us, it's about making sure that we want the players to be able to go enjoy this sandbox universe. And so that, to me, was one of the biggest things with this, is making sure that the outposts and what you can actually do with outposts is interesting and unique to it, as then, if you want to go and attack somebody, if you want to go raid an outpost, you can do it. Hopefully that person has backup and can protect themselves. Or if you just want to go be a moisture farmer out in the middle of nowhere, then Tatooine.
Those loops that we talked about in it also tie back into the ship matrix. So before, all the ships had these very niche descriptions of what they were doing, like civilian close support superiority fighter. And with the new Matrix, we've gone and put all the ships into categories. So now you can see where everything fits, where they all tie in together. And it's not a special ship here, special ship there. It's part of this family. If I enjoy doing this, then I can look at these ones.
Now, of course, the family, the groups that we've put the ships in now, the different careers and roles and stuff, those are still the starting points. Those are the top level descriptions. Obviously, in a game like Star Citizen, it's all about the details. You know, just because this ship is exploration and this ship is exploration doesn't mean they're the same ship that do the same thing.
It also doesn't mean that it can't do other things. So just because it's an explorer ship doesn't mean it can't fight. It can still fight. It can still defend itself. It's probably not as good. We're going to be able to explore as well, isn't it? But we're not. You've got this ship. It's now this. You can never stray outside this box. They're there just as the starting points for kicking off where you're going.
Now, before we let you go, the CitizenCon this year is sponsored by Intel. We have a new promotion with their Optane hard drives. The Saber Raven was the other big reveal from today.
His baby.
What can you tell us about the Saber Raven and its place in the ship ecosystem, as it were?
So, it's a really good data runner. So you've got the Herald. That's the iconic point A to point B. So it can take its data there and back all day long. If it runs into trouble, I'm running data. I'm not doing it as fast, but if I get into trouble, then I've got those EMP generators, I've got some backup weapons, I've got the agility to be able to get me out of that situation. So it's good at that. It's good at dogfighting because it's a more nimble, faster saber. So everyone loves the saber. And
keep talking. I'm getting a message from John Schimmel.
It sacrifices half of its guns for the speed it takes. So it's not going to be for everyone. There's plenty of people that can handle the speed. And with the greater speed comes greater risk. And you've only got half the weapon. So if you mess that up, you're in trouble. Whereas other combat ships, not as nimble, take a bit more damage, shoot more. There's options for everything, but it's really, really good for getting data from A to B.
All right. Well, with that, guys, we are going to wrap this up. As you've almost certainly noticed, based on the Twitch chat, there are some bandwidth issues going on. We are going to try to address that before Chris Roberts takes the stage. So we're going to go ahead and terminate the broadcast right now. See if we can't square that away before the big man comes out with the big show. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. CitizenCon 2947, exploring new worlds. Stay tuned, everybody.
Take care.
To the show, yes.
Damen und Herren, meine bessere Hälfte, Chris Roberts.
That's some pretty loud music there, so thank you very much for the nice entrance. So hopefully you guys have been having a great day so far. I think the new format's actually quite fun. It was actually nice to run around a little bit and talk to people that were, say, playing in Universum and see it. And hopefully you guys have gotten the opportunity to spend a little time and talk to some of the devs. I mean, we had the presentations in here, but also there was quite a few of the dev staff that were down in the atrium showing various things like the Planed, Soled, which is the planets and the solar system editors. And I don't know if any of you guys got to try the FOIP, the face over IP. I don't know. It's hopefully you did. It's pretty cool. It's made some strides since Gamescom and played in the planetary playground. So it's been I think, quite good. So let me. This thing's actually good. There we go. So there you go. Well, anyway, I was talking about the auditorium, where I think we had some pretty interesting panels. It seemed like the animation guys did quite well with their nice videos. And obviously the Pioneer panel we had just before here, which is something that I was saying actually when I was wandering around in the Universum side, is the the extra amount of game mechanics that that having the planets that we're building allows us, I think, is pretty exciting because there's a lot of potential gameplay that goes beyond just straight sort of combat or trading, which is what you would typically get in a space game. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously, we spent some time talking about the beginning of the Stanton system. And I don't know if any of you got a chance, but there's this really cool little My Radar app, which will now have the moons of Stanton and Delamar, which kind of pretty cool to watch it spin around on the My Radar app. And of course, the Raven was cool in the atrium, and so hopefully you guys, like I said, had a good time in the atrium talking to the devs. And one of the things that we were doing there was letting you guys sort of get a hands-on with the weapons team. And we have a weapon that's sort of a special skin for CitizenCon, which you can get on the web. But for everybody here, I think a fair number of you were sort of hands-on with the team, and they were sort of helping you guys were interacting, deciding, or giving hint or feedback on like what a weapon design or color scheme could be. So I picked the two best ones. There was a few more than here, but these are the two ones that I felt could be okay in the game. There was a few that were maybe a little more colorful or interesting, I should say. So what we're going to do, because everybody that is here in CitizenCon will get the weapon that we pick for free in their account, and they can run around with it in 3.0 when 3.0 goes live. So what I need you to do is pick. So we have A, so I want to, and then we have B. So I'm going to say, who likes A, and then let's see how loud you are, and then who likes B, see how loud you are. So who would like to have A be the weapon they get? Okay, that's pretty loud, so let's see how the B fans are going to do. Who would like B to be the weapon they get? Okay, that sounded exactly the same. Okay, all right, we're going to do it one more time. Be really loud for the one you want. A. B. Okay, I think... All right, screw it, we'll do both of them. You guys. All right, and obviously, hopefully you guys went and played in the Universum. You could play a little bit of a taste of kind of what it's like flying around and interacting on one of the moons of 3.0. And those machines are all set up with the fast octane drives and the Intel stuff, so I think it was pretty fluid. It was pretty cool. So hopefully you guys had fun. Who played up in Universum here? Okay, all right. And then, yes, you got to mingle with the devs, which was, I think, pretty cool. Hopefully you guys got to talk to other devs besides maybe me. Yeah? Okay, good. And then we had our live stream, which I did hear that there was some lag apparently on, but we spent a lot of money in this venue to upgrade their internet, so it certainly wasn't that. So we're going to blame it on Twitch at the moment. I was watching some of it back when we were working on the presentation back there, and I wasn't getting lag. I was getting a couple of, like it would pause, and then it'd be fine. But I didn't get lag, and it wasn't stuttering. But who knows? Who knows? It's our curse. Anyway, here we go. So what's next? So right now, as most of you know, we're working on getting 3.0 out. We've currently got it in Evocati testing. Are there any Evocati members here? Okay, well, thank you guys very much, because you're dealing with the the painful part of it, where it crashes a lot and you guys have to sort of not concentrate on the fun, but concentrate on the errors. We say, please, we need a lot of people playing this thing. And I have to say, I don't know what you guys do, but our QA staff never managed to do the things that you guys did to the servers. So we were like, oh, this is looking good. It's 30 frames a second. And then we put it live to you guys, and it's like, it's now 8 frames a second. What do they got? Oh, they've got 20 staff errors. What are they doing? But yes, as I said, so we're in the final test, and one of the nice things about what we're delivering in 3.0 is also the delta patching. So, on the dev side, we use it all the time. Our updates are way quicker. I think probably for you guys on Avocado, when you download, it's nice not to download 20 gigs every time there's an update. And so I think that's going to be better for iterative stuff, and it's definitely going to be better down the road for our sort of future delivery of content and features and patches. So we're quite excited by the Delta Patcher, and as we move into the wider PTU and then live, everybody's going to get to experience. But it definitely makes your life much easier, and getting sort of quick patches and updates is much less of a deal. And if you've got constricted bandwidth, I think it's definitely something you want. What are we going to do after 3.0 is out in the very, very near future? So we've decided going after 3.0 that we're going to shift to a date-driven model versus a content-driven model. So our goal is to do quarterly releases, and we're going to have a roadmap of features and content that we're working on, and the ones that sort of make the date get in that release, and if not, they'll shift to the quarterly release after it. And so the idea is to try to have more regular updates for you guys to play, so you can give us feedback and iterate on and see the game grow. Because 3.0, obviously, it's been quite a while since we delivered the last patch, which was 2.6.3, but really the last major patch was 2.6. So it's been, whatever it is now, sort of since 2.6, 10 months or so. And that's just too long to sort of have a sort of content drought for you guys. So after 3.0, now that we feel that we've got the bones in place for the persistent universe in terms of, fully persistent ships, characters, items, the planetary system, item 2.0, a whole, the entire UI, the Moby Glass, all that's been revised. Feels like it's a really nice building block to be dropping on features as we go and content as we grow. So going forward, the plan on Star Citizen is to, like I said, be date-driven, not so much feature or content-driven, which 3.0 is sort of feature lock, because we have to deliver a lot of these things all together, else any individual one of them won't work. So I think that'll mean a better, sort of more regular experience for you guys, which will be good, because if there's a content drought for a while, everyone sort of gets a bit bored, and that's not very good. So we're aiming to do that going forward after 3.0, and the new Delta patch is definitely going to be something that helps us do that, which will be good. We're working on our sort of production report formatting, so next week we're going to update it, I think, to be a sort of a little more readable or understanding for the close down of 3.0, and beyond 3.0 we're going to present a full roadmap for the Star Citizen roadmap in terms of what features and content we're working on in what order, and that'll be as we go live with 3.0, we'll release that with you guys, and then we'll also present a roadmap for Squadron during our holiday live stream, as well as show you, a portion of what we've been working on Squadron. So that's sort of our plan going forward, and along the lines of that, we are now going to give you a bit of a preview of what we've been working on beyond 3.0 for Star Citizen. So this is the fun bit. So Glenn, let's get onto the stage here. Okay. So as a lot of you would probably recognize this. This is Astra Armada that's in ArcCorp, which you probably know from when we released the social module. And one of our challenges is that the new paradigm of Star Citizen is you can go to all these planets, you can explore all the planets. We're not just going to have a cutscene to go down to the surface and have a very limited landing area. So the old ArcCorp you basically were in a sort of well-detailed first-person small level, and everything outside of it was sort of a, kind of it was basically faked. And in the new way, the new planetary tech we can't. So here we are in Astra Armada. The Raven's there, which is the the spaceship that goes with the Optane. And beyond 3.0, we're going to add the ability to buy or lease ships. So that would be, the first place you're probably doing that would actually be on ArcCorp in the Astra Armada store. And of course, you're also seeing some level of our subsumption AI going on, which is also something we're continually working on improving. And next year, it will be even more self-aware. Right, let's head out. Clive. Okay, so we've gone a bit bigger. The big difference with ArcCorp that we have now is that is real. So, well, not real. It's digital, but it's there. It's a digital thing. So let's just. There isn't really a skybox. Everything through the main plaza of Area 18 here in ArcCorp, which, like I said, you guys will have known from the social module, although it's quite a bit different than it was in terms of scope, scale. Obviously, you can see a lot of the advertising and vibe stuff. But let's head out through the customs.
You're clear. Move along.
All right, let's go. So everyone's in a line, as always, if you're going anywhere to get through immigration. Here we go, the main flying pass. So, very Blade Runner-esque we got going. So this is a Terrapin, which again isn't in 3.0, but is going to be just after 3.0. Although I think we should probably, Glenn, shouldn't really. Let's start the small amount, right? The new Aurora, perhaps.
Welcome to Roberts Space Industries. Enjoy the ride. System check. Engines are on.
All right, let's take off. Let's go flying. Not sure we're going to let you actually get this close to the populated areas, but we'll let you guys do it.
Landing gear trained.
what you're seeing here is ArcCorp, which is essentially a full-size, Earth-sized planet, completely covered with man-made structures, and at a real scale. So you're seeing everything to the horizon, fully covered. You can basically fly all over ArcCorp. So you can see off in the distance another city club. So that up in the distance is area 17, and we're flying over the suburbs now. So this is pretty much Coruscant. And this is our engine wizards in the Frankfurt office. Who's doing this? So Marco Cubetta and Alex Ramotti, who will be out here in a bit. And actually area 17 over there is about 25 kilometers in the distance. So we're just going to head over to it.
Landing gear deployed.
There's our tradition. Hello, CitizenCon 2947.
Landing gear raised.
Longer term, that we're going to be building on our bigger, more populated planets, multiple landing zones. So Area 18 is one of them. Area 17 would be potentially another one, and we'd have quite a few around ArcCorp because it's such a big planet and the detail and the scale that we're going for. We sort of feel like it has to be more than just one landing zone or two landing zones and then nothing else on the rest of the planet. So it has to feel believable at the scale of our universe. And that's always quite a challenge, but some of the technology that we've been building is allowing us to do that, as you can sort of see from the visuals that we're flying around here, where we literally have a planet covered by a city. So ArcCorp is one of our planets. Let's kind of head up to space, I think, here in a bit, Glad. can have a little view of Area 17 as we go beside it, though. I don't think any other game's quite got this level of scale. And that little the red cluster you see up there is actually the pyro system. So when we leave Stanton, that will be one of our destinations. As you sort of see. Yeah. Well, don't worry, we're working hard on it for you guys. One of the space stations in orbit around ArcCorp. So I think I've mentioned before that most of the big kind of more advanced or settled or industrialized planets will have quite a few space stations in geosynchronous orbit, so that when say someone with a large ship like a Hull C or a D brings in cargo, we go to the space station and then the cargo can be offloaded and brought down to the planet. So we're just going to head to one of them. It's built using a new modular space station setup, and it's actually beyond 3.0. You're going to see a lot of space stations and variety, and we'll talk a little bit about how we're going to put them together and build them up in around the Stanton system and the other systems as we expand out. And the key is it's all, we're not low. There's no loading screens or anything. We just flew up from the city. We were down in Area 18. Then we were flying around these huge skyscrapers, and now we're just heading up to the orbital space station. Glenn's just showing off. And again, this would be, like I said, one of the places where cargo would come in, it would be unloaded, and then there would be NPCs or a player could potentially take smaller amounts down. But to give you an idea of this is, the beauty of the sort of Star Citizen 64-bit precision is like we fully, it's all there. We're up here on a space station looking down on the planet. Jump? I don't know, Glenn. Should we jump or not jump? Nah, I don't think so, right? All right, let's get back on the platform. Well, no, his EVA counters the gravity. Plus, gravity is much weaker up here than it's down on the planet. But the gravity is actually properly simulated all the way through, based on your distance from the center of the planet. You want to get up? All right. So inside these are all got interiors, and in fact, we'll show you kind of how we build them in a second. But yeah, just give you the idea of the scale, because this space station didn't look that big from a while ago, and of course, see how big it is now that we're up close. And if we go through here, there'll be an elevator we get through on the other side that would get us into the atrium. So we'll show you a bit of that in a little bit. Let's kind of continue on with our journey. No, that doesn't look very big. That's because we're sort of zoomed out on the star map. But Lorville is 23,205,500, whatever that is, 968, 66 now, 68 kilometers away, which is quite a long distance. So should we start our quantum? So as you can see, we've upgraded the whole sort of jump effects and everything using the new GPU particle system that's coming in with 3.0. Yet another thing that we've added, which you can see with the contrails and the engine trails. Now, 23 million kilometers, even at 0.2 of the speed of light, takes about 8 minutes. Now, and actually in the gameplay side of things, it probably would actually take you longer for the journey because you probably get pulled out of quantum by some other ships, and there'll be we won't probably let you go one jump directly to the other jump because there needs to be some time invested in getting there, like taking cargo or whatever else. But just a pure unaltered, uninterrupted jump's about 8 minutes at our quantum speed. So while we're doing that, we're going to take a little bit of time to reflect back on the tech that you saw on display. So Sean, you want to come to the stage, and Alex Ramotti, who's one of the key people at procedural tech. And I'll hand it over to them to sort of talk about how we built some of the stuff you just saw.
All right, hi there everyone. So for those that don't know me, my name's Sean Tracy. I'm the tech director of content here at Cloud Imperium Games. And up here on stage with me is one of the bright minds behind some of the content that you saw there in Area 18 and ArcCorp, and behind some of the tools, and his name's Alex Ramotti. He's our lead technical artist at Cloud Imperium Games. So, figured while we're on our way to Hurston that we'd kind of show you a little bit about the tools and basically how we're going to go about filling, hundreds of systems with just as many planets with, meaningful content and things to do for you guys. And the way we're going to do that is through super powerful tools, really talented art teams, really powerful and hyper intelligent engineers. So we're going to have to go picture in picture here for a minute. All right. So go ahead, run the tools. All right, so the first one I want to talk a little bit about is our procedural city generator. So here, it's a top-down sort of tool that we've built for the artists and the designers. And what they basically do, they draw the perimeters of all their districts. Now, I realize it looks a little bit about like Minesweeper or even like a SimCity kind of look, but actually that's a really nice interface to this kind of thing. So you see what he's actually done here is all the T's are little transportation districts, and all the little yellow H's are actually an elevated area. So these are different districts with different properties within them. And it's important that all those districts connect to each other because, of course, if we've got NPCs living there, that's going to be an important point. Then we hit fill the city layout, and this is when all the models and everything starts to get propagated. But I should mention, it's not just models, it's particle effects, it's NPCs, it's shops, it's signs, it's all kinds of different content that really make the game for you. The other important part of it is being able to set, the actual districts. So it's things like commercial, residential, industrial, and you might have heard of these before. And he sets different heights. These ones are suburban areas, or suburb areas. And this is where, the NPCs will live. It'll be different habitation sort of areas. And then we hit Save City Layout, and we've got our city. So, it's a really exciting tool set. And again, this comes from lots of artwork and really, really, really intelligent engineers. So you can see that in the distance is our elevated area. We've got a sort of industrial area that's been built up. You've got the signs, you've got the shops. And you could even see before when it was a little higher up that there's transportation between all of these districts. So you can still move around between, and that could be monorails, that could be roads, that could be whatever the artists actually come up with, or design rather, they come up with it. So as he flies around, you can see that this was more the commercial kind of area. This is where you'd find some of your shops, things like Dumpers Depot. And then over here was that sort of suburb area that he actually built up. So again, it's a really powerful tool set, but it's really only one piece of the puzzle. So the next piece of that puzzle is building up the interiors to this. So keeping that same concept in mind, we load up a different tool set. And this one is we call it our layout editor. So this is our interior layout editor, and it can be used for all kinds of things. So here's our DataForge editor. You might have seen this on ATV before. And this is where we set up all our, real meaningful data. So these are different libraries that are used. But for the artists and designers, what they actually use is a flow graph system. And each of those boxes or nodes are actually rooms. And each of the connections are hallways or doors or elevators and things like this. And you can see that all the rooms are connected in a certain way and in a meaningful gameplay way. So those are elevator shafts. We might have a mission giver room. We might have a treasure room. We might have a pickup room. We might have a secret room. There's all sorts of different properties that go within them. Once we've got that flow graph, we go to our editor. We load that flow graph. Then we give it a deterministic seed. And click OK, and the tools go ahead and build that environment for us. So now, an artist or a designer could absolutely build this. There's no reason why they couldn't. But there's a lot to do here. So you've got to connect walls, you've got to put lights in, you've got to place NPCs. Even some kind of technical things. We've got to place atmosphere areas. We have our room system. We have a power system. And one of the problems with that is that, it's a little prone to error. So like, if I forgot my link, I didn't name it right, or whatever. Or I used an art kit that the art team wasn't quite ready for, things like this. So it kind of mitigates that problem. But you can see there's very meaningful content. And we've got you know, a level of like Port Olisar already generated within a couple minutes. And again, design or an artist could absolutely do this, but again, we've got to fill a massive amount of content here. So he explores around a little bit. We can see that there was a shop earlier. I think we might have gone through Kasaba, check that out. And the other thing about it is a lot of these sort of systems will only generate like a certain one floor. But again, if we put like a stairs node within it, we're going to get different levels. So here we load a different flow graph. This one is a different procedural seed, and it builds up right again. So again, we can regenerate and regenerate and regenerate so many different sets of these interiors. All right, so that's the second piece of the puzzle. And the third piece of the puzzle, and one of the more exciting ones, you want to run the next video, is integrating it into our planet ecosystems. So the ecosystems, and what happens in this video is we're changing some of the properties just off screen of the ecosystem scattering. So it actually scatters all of these assets, so again, the cities plus the interiors within them, and it integrates them seamlessly into the ArcCorp cities. So you can see there's Area 17 in the background, kind of looks like LA with the smog. But we changed some of these different properties, and you can see the scattering happens over and over. So we're about to hit Hurston here. I'm going to go ahead and give it back over to Chris, but I really hope you guys enjoyed the tools, and really thank the team for working on that stuff.
Went to a space station, looked down at ArcCorp, then quantum travel, flew through the space. We haven't done any loading. It's all in the same star system. And now we're in orbit, like high orbit actually, well, quite a ways out from Hurston, which is another planet inside the Stanton system. ArcCorp is owned by ArcCorp. In the Stanton system, the UE leased each one of the major Earth-type planets to different corporations. In this case, it's Hurston Dynamics, which primarily is a weapons manufacturer, and Hurston itself is the kind of, it's the sort of planet that is what happens when there is no regulation and there's no environmental protection. So it's probably going to be like China in 100 years or America after the EPA has been dismantled. So let's just head down, and you know, this will be an example of a different style of planet and you know, ecosystem biome. And we're still early days on this, because obviously you know, we're still getting 3.0 out views to the environment, and the sort of procedural planet team have been working on ArcCorp and Hurston, because they finished all their 3.0 stuff, and we're preparing for the next major release. All this stuff, but there's still a ways to go. So remember, all this is work in progress, and it'll be a lot better and cooler when you actually get your hands on it in the future. So we're just gonna do a short distance quantum travel. So we actually we have two kinds of quantum travel in 3.0 and beyond. One is a long distance one, like the one we went between ArcCorp and Hurston, between major celestial bodies. And then we have short distance quantum travel that allows you to navigate around or circumnavigate large celestial bodies. So like here, we're just going to come much closer up to the kind of sort of low orbit gateway into Hurston. So I'll let Glenn take us down with his consummate flying skills. Yeah, so you know, the German engine team that does all the procedural planet stuff has been adding obviously a lot of stuff to the procedural planet tech. The oceans have all been ported over to GPU, and ultimately we're not doing it here, but you know, there actually has. If we get low enough, you'll probably see it's full wave simulation. And we get low enough, we want to have the thing where the wake from the ship creates waves. That's not in yet, but we will be doing that at some point. Yes. Well, as you know. But we're heading in our way to Lorville, which is the main landing zone on Hurston. So and as we sort of build this out in the future, there'll be a lot more sort of mining infrastructure. This is basically an area that Hurston sort of strip mined for all the minerals and creating its weapons and its sort of factories that we'll get to in a bit. But as we move forward, we've just sort of beginning of fleshing out sort of the secondary locations and objects. We're going to add things like, you know, big, you know, macro vehicles that would be excavating dirt and stuff, and give it a lot more variety, because Hurston's going to have quite a few more ecosystems than we're showing right here. But let's head up towards Hurston. You can actually see in the distance the big Hurston dynamic. It's sort of like the Tyrell building from Blade Runner. So that's the main area, and actually when you land in Hurston, that's where you're likely to land, and it has all these beautiful shops inside, and it's all nice, but the outside of it's all kind of smog and factories and polluted air. So let's fly up through. And again, Lorville's built using the same tech. It's a different kind of building set for a lot of it, but it's using the same sort of distribution tech that we do to sort of build out a city at a realistic scale for the ships that we have in the games, you know, which is kind of important for our game because we want to have everything feel real, visceral, tactile. And you can sort of appreciate just the sheer scale of these planets, because, you know, off in the distance Hurston didn't look very big, and now we're flying through it, and you know, it's you know, these are pretty tall, big buildings. Glenn likes to show off. So let's sort of head to the outskirts outside the city, because we want to sort of give you a sense of kind of what it's like in the ecosystems outside, and then also the sense of scale that you get. Because when you're flying around, you're moving pretty fast. I mean, we're flying at a pretty fair clip relatively. I don't think they'd like you flying around, say, Frankfurt at this speed, just above it. But to give you the sense of being able to fly over a planet and then get down on the ground, it's all seamless and also all the details. So we'll just go out here beyond the main city areas and find a landing spot. Find one that's not rock. There you go. So here we are, we're down on the ground, and actually you can sort of see the large structures off in the distance, which maybe didn't look so big when we're flying over them, but really actually are quite massive. And this is kind of like the kind of tundra area outside Lorville. And let's go for a little run. And again, this is sort of what our goal is to try to kind of deliver the kind of on foot, first person, crisis level of detail for the environments that you're in, but doing a lot of it procedurally and on a planetary scale. So it's quite challenging, but I'm very confident that we're going to deliver all that goal. And the team we have doing it, who a lot of them were here giving a talk earlier, are incredibly talented. And I'm pretty excited by the potential. I mean, we've got a lot to go in terms of building further ecosystems, also creating fauna for planets. So there's a sense of wildlife. Some could be hostile, some could be passive. But we essentially want to make these planets living places that feel visceral, that have their own identity. When you go to ArcCorp or you go to Hurston, they feel totally different. They match with the sort of story and the history and the lore. And they feel tactile. They feel like a place that you could visit, a place that you could go and tell stories of, and take pictures of, or share with your friends. So someone's conveniently left us a Knox. So you can use that to get a bit closer into the city.
Systems activating. Systems on.
So you sort of can see the city stuff that seemed quite small as we flew over it. We're down on the ground and it's pretty huge. Oh, all right, let's see if... Oh! Glenn, you're just showing off now. See, it's just a show off, Glenn. I don't think it's that good of a show off. So here we're sort of coming to the outskirts of one of the factory areas of Lorville. All right. And again, we just have the beginnings of sort of our NPC population system. So some of the other stuff besides the interior procedural stuff is, longer term we're working on sort of a background crowd simulation system, a traffic simulation for ships coming and going in the background. The knock says it sounds a little physics bugs going on. Then we have foreground NPCs that would be like mission givers that have their own full schedules and stuff like that. But all the places will get populated and feel like they're full of life. So you'll have like I said, the whole goal is to have 90% NPCs to 10% players in the universe. And when you come to a place like Lawville or a place like ArtCorp, it has to feel like, it has millions of people in it because these cities are that scale and that's sort of what we're used to. And so we're working very hard to build background systems to be able to do that, scale it, create them on demand, and create a realistic feeling location on whatever planet you're visiting. So as you can see, there's the Hurston Dynamics main building off in the distance. So it's again, that gives you a sense of like the scope and the scale of the city really is compared to what we're doing now. And as I said, one of the things we're working on is fauna. So these are the Oni, the Zyphopod Oni crabs. So they're little scavengers on Hurston, and there's quite a few other things that we're going to have on Hurston. We'll do it, but you'll have them running around and a bunch of other ones. But there you go. There's Lawville, there's Hurston. So that's the sort of preview of where we're going, and you can see the amount of attention to detail and the amount of love and hard work that's going in from the team to do that, because we really want to build out the universe of Star Citizen to the level that matches the vision of us and you guys, plus all the amazing concept art that everyone's done. So people could say, no, you can't, that's crazy to do that. Well, our goal is to actually do it. And so they've been doing a great job. A lot of the team here that's worked on this is here. And I actually, at the end of here, I'd like to get all the team members up on the stage, people that have been showing stuff on the floor, help put the demos together, helping assist, do the live stream. So everyone that isn't necessary to run the cameras and live stream, why don't you come up on stage here to get a well-deserved round of applause. So come on. And where's Sandy? Let's bring Sandy out. Here we go. Whoa, get my guys, come on. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Marco Corbetta is here. He's quite shy, but he's actually the prime engineer behind the procedural. He has quite a few other people in the engine team that are doing, but a lot of all this plan stuff is over there, Marco Corbetta. Ladies and gentlemen. I like to call out Marco because he's quite shy. He doesn't really want to have any attention. That's why he didn't want to do a panel or anything, but I like to embarrass him. But well done, Marco. It's awesome stuff. And the environment team that built all that stuff did an amazing job. I mean, you met quite a few of them. There's Michelle Cooper back here. Where's Ian? Ian somewhere. There's Ian. Pascal somewhere. I don't know where Pascal is. There's Pascal. So I can't remember. I got anyone else here from the I don't know. And then there's where's Sasha? Is he hidden somewhere? Yeah. There's Dan Truffin in the back who put together all the little NPCs for Harcorp and stuff. What's that? Yeah. Oh yeah. Where's Josh? That's what I see. And where's Josh Herman? There he is, hiding in the back. So obviously the characters and the Oni crab, and we got quite a few other creatures in the pipeline, right, Josh? Yeah, it's gonna be good. But everyone, I mean, honestly, everyone here has done an amazing job, and all the volunteers that have helped us do the event. It's been pretty awesome. I mean, I hope you guys like the new format. I know. I'm not gonna. Is someone gonna say something on the? It says "Happy 5th birthday." All right. Did I just cut it? All right. Wait a minute. There you go. It's a little cake. Here, come on, Sandy. Who wants some cake? All right, Jared. Here, Jared. Go, Jared. There you go. All right, now I've got blue on my hands. All right, okay. All right, well, thank you. And by the way, the other thing that outside of everyone here has done an awesome job is everyone in the crowd and everybody watching online and everyone that's been is in the community that's backed the game, because we couldn't be making this game and doing stuff at this level of ambition without all your guys' support. So every day we are grateful that you guys allow us to be doing this. So thank you very much. And with that, I think we'll see you in the verse. Yeah? All right. Okay, guys. All right, now I need to get my hands clean. Okay, I'm going to get my hands clean.